Welcome back. Not welcome back. Welcome to the first episode of the monthly with the one, the only Cavi from
Hello,
the
hello.
Gooder clan. Hello, Cavi. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing all right. So, um, this is something new that we're going to be doing once a month, and it's more of just a listening kind of thing. We'll have some images on the screen, and I'm not going to have any music or anything on this, but it's just going to be kind of once a month. I'm going to get with the Gooder Clan members, anyone that's available, and we're going to chat a little bit about StarCraft stuff. So just be nerds and chat, but this is more of kind of like a podcasty thing that you could do while you're listening. You can listen to while you're driving or walking your dog or whatever you want to do with that. But yeah, today we have your actual clan, your StarCraft name is Cavi, right? This
Yeah,
is
that's
this
right.
is yeah. I'm
Yeah, yeah.
confused. You have like a couple names that you go by, but I'll try to keep it as Cavi. So in the future, um, when you're back, we can keep
That's continue.
consistency. So you will be Cavi, and of course, it is your host Dan Berg, as always, back at it. But we got a couple things to talk about today. First off, Cavi, how you been? Give yourself, I guess,
I've
your first intro here on the monthly, and let me know how you're doing on the ladder.
I'm doing okay on the ladder. I'm doing better than I've ever done before, but I've also been away for the last month, so things are okay.
Yeah, you've been out with work and stuff like that. So how many games have you actually been able to kind of squeeze out while you've been kind of in and out of your
Uh,
house?
I've played 15 games today, and
Oh,
then
good. Okay.
before that, uh, it's been like a month maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So you hit diamond last season, correct?
Yes, I did hit Diamond last season, and I am Diamond this season as well, Diamond 3.
Fantastic.
But at the beginning of the season it was pretty rough, so I fell down to Platinum 1, and then I've been working my way up back up to Diamond 3. But yeah, it's not going so good.
Yeah, it
T-
happens. It happens. But
Today wasn't too bad.
you're mainly Protoss, right? Have you ever really officially laddered as Terran or Zerg on the ladder before?
Uh, I will go with no. Maybe I played like 5 games
Okay,
of each
you've
raid, but
placed, yeah.
I'll go with no. Not nothing like you where you played a whole season of each and then understand them.
No, I don't understand
Um,
a lot yet, but it's
but way less than you have on the ladder. That's for sure.
well. Congratulations on Diamond. I hit Diamond for the first time as Zerg about a year ago, and that was big. My ladder's not doing too bad. I've also been kind of in and out. Uh, I've I've probably played 18 hours last week, so pretty standard for what I usually do. But it's been a little bit more like binge, where I'll play like 6 hours and then I won't play for like 3 days, and then I'll play another 6 hours, and then so it's a little bit weird, but
I find with that too. I
yeah,
find that if I have time to play, I'll just play straight, and if I
yeah,
don't, I won't. Yeah.
yeah. I hit Diamond 1 last season as Zerg, but I have also fallen this season back down to Diamond 2 as Zerg. But I kind of took a week to practice the other races, and that screwed my Zerg MMR, and I just haven't played enough to get it back. I think I'm floating around 4,000 MMR right now, so I just need to have like one good day, and I'll hop back into Diamond 1. But I did hit Diamond 2 as Terran for the first time, which was exciting. But that was strictly because I got a lot of Terran versus Zerg in a row, and because I understand Zerg so well, I was able to like use that against them. But as far as like TVT or TVP, I basically just do the 2-1-1 every game, and I try to make it work. But I hit Diamond 2, so I call it legit. But that was fun. Protoss, I'm also a Diamond 3 right now. I just clicked in. I'm at like 3,750 MMR with Protoss right now. So not not too good, but it's still Diamond. I'm okay
That's
with it.
still good. Yeah, that's still good. I'll take
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I
exactly.
I would love that. Yeah.
He'll get there again. He'll get back, but yeah. So yeah, it sounds like it's doing okay, but yeah, this today it's kind of a new thing that I don't know how long. When did I first mention the monthly to you? And
Oh, I feel like it's been like a month and a half at least.
I've wanted
Like,
to do this for a while, but finally we've got
yeah,
we've got time
that's
both of
mostly
them.
my fault.
No,
I said I was gonna come online, and then I said I was gonna come online again. Then I fell asleep, so it's tough.
Well, we both have jobs and we're both, have families, so it's not like we can just do this on a, super casual basis. So it's understandable.
And brutal time zones.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
our
yeah.
time zones don't get any worse than
Yo,
this.
what time is it there right now for you?
Well, it's 10 p.m. here. So it's
Okay.
not so bad.
Okay, it's not too bad. It's 1 p.m. here, so yeah,
Yeah, so it's okay if neither of us work,
yeah.
but yeah,
When we do, yeah, it's like,
it
hey, I'm
leaves
dinner time, and what's going on over there? So, yeah,
yeah, it leaves like 2 days a week, and then even then it's hard because those are like the Saturdays and Sundays. It's
yeah,
not so easy.
yeah. I mean, we've got other people and other things that we want to be doing on the weekend. Besides, I mean, I always just want to play StarCraft, but there's other things I have to unfortunately do with my time. But
Now that it's winter here in Canada, I'll have more time to play.
yeah, you honestly can't go outside because you'll freeze to death.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're getting a bunch of construction down on my house right now, so like I can't really go out and do much because there's always like people working on it, so I kind of have to be here for it. So I also have a slight influx of time recently, which is nice. But yeah. But as far as like the future of this channel, me and you talked about this a little bit, and obviously the thing that we're doing now is just kind of chatting about StarCraft. We'll get into that actual discussion here in just a couple minutes. But they the other things that we were talking about is we talked a little bit about this. I've already mentioned this on the channel maybe once, but I'm going to do a replay of the month. I'm actually going to put that out the day that we record um, this monthly, but the monthly will be the first Sunday of every month from now moving forward. So sometimes it'll be, you know, just whatever has happened through the last month. The beginning of the next month is when we'll kind of come together and talk about it and what's coming forward. So this will be from now on first Sunday of every month is what we're going to be working on. But the replay of the month will be the last Saturday of every month. So the replay of the month and the monthly will kind of be this set idea that I had. But then you talked today something like these 1 minute little clips and stuff like that, and I wanted to make that more of an organic discussion on this the monthly. But what was this idea that you have about us kind
Well,
of
sometimes
collaborating?
just like we don't have time to always get together and talk for 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah,
I was thinking like you can kind of make them separate. So even though we might not have time to make it midweek, if I have 5 or 10 minutes, I can put together like a 1 minute like update or 1 minute clip of something that happened awesome in one of my games or something that happened awesome in GSL, and just like round it off to a minute. And if you take 5 of those a week and put that together, it doesn't make a long video, which if people don't have time for it, might be good.
yeah,
A
that's very true.
5 minute, because sometimes you want to watch a replay, but you don't have 30, 40 minutes to watch a detailed replay.
Yeah,
You might have a minute. So if you take like a 5 minute YouTube video and break down 5 different big things that happened in a week, then you can create some good content.
that's a really good point. I think that's maybe a whole separate thing in itself. The monthly here, it sounds like I don't know. It could
More
be.
podcasty.
Yeah,
And
if you had like a little thing, like you had 2 points of that. Like one was kind of like an idea of like you had an idea like an audio clip that you would put together. I think we could compile those into and put them into the monthly and do like a segment of like little bits and snippets that we had. But like little video segments and stuff like that. I think that's actually a really good idea. I think that's a great idea, but I would make that a whole different thing in itself, and I would want to make it semi standard, like with time, like once every week or once every other week or something like that. But yeah, I'll definitely
yeah, like bi-weekly, yeah,
do
would be
that.
fine.
Or I
Whatever
mean,
it's called.
even if we both did a bi-weekly, if I just upload it on other weeks, like I'm the first week of the month and the third, and you're the second and the fourth, and then if there's a fifth odd month and we just don't do one that week, then I think we can actually make this kind of a weekly thing. But I don't, I wouldn't feel comfortable. Um,
That one I wouldn't put any promises out
yeah,
for
exactly.
anybody.
I
I would
wouldn't.
just
I
say if it
wouldn't.
happens, it happens.
Yeah, I wouldn't be like, Kevin, where's your
It's-
where's your your 30-second clip that you
yeah,
promised you'd make? I wouldn't like put that kind of pressure on you, but I think it would still be if it was possible, I think that would be really cool if we could do
There's
that.
slow weeks in StarCraft too, right? Like
Totally.
there's times where there's no GSL and there's no good, especially right after BlizzCon. There's not really a whole lot, is there?
No,
So
not at
like
all.
going into December might be kind of like a slower time, maybe only one, whereas January might have no problem.
Yeah,
Right?
that's very very true. That's very very true. But yeah, I think let's keep talking about that. Let's keep on.
So the other thing too with this style of the monthly, we could do we could use our webcams as well
Yeah,
and do it a little bit more like maybe with the footage you have in the background, but just do it like double or triple webcam.
I think that'd be
I don't
great.
know how other people might like that, but I know I'm fine to do that.
I would totally do that. And if someone else didn't want to put their face up, I would just put
That's
like a
fine.
box, be like, this
Yeah.
is who's talking, and maybe make it light up whenever. Because I know that I can do it where if your mic activates, then I can light up a box on the screen and just put that around whoever's talking and make it look a little bit better. But yeah, I think
I
production
think
value.
even in that's built into like even Discord. We could just do a Discord chat and it
Yeah.
will light up their box. It just won't show a video if they're
Oh,
not talking.
that's brilliant.
Discord
Yeah.
has it like built in, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maybe.
It's
We'll
left
see.
hand, left upper left hand side of the screen. If you put, yeah, it does. You're right. That's actually a really good idea. Yeah, I've got a whole nother month to work on production value for the next one, so
Yeah.
it's I'm not too worried about it. But I think that's a good idea actually. That's a very
For
smart. I
the
want to work on it.
for the hot minute thing is you could just send me your footage on like Dropbox or
Mhm.
like a Google Drive
Yeah.
and just send me like because if it's only 3 to 5 minutes of footage that I can edit down,
Mhm.
it wouldn't take up that much space. I can throw it together and make it like kind of polished off, and I have more time to do that on my weekdays when you're like at work or sleeping, and
Yeah.
it's like because often I get home at this time and I'm like, okay, I have like 2 hours to kill, and I'm kind of just bored,
Yeah, that's a
and
good point.
I don't necessarily want to get into StarCraft because then I'll be up really late,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I'll just I'll get distracted, or like sometimes after a long day, it's hard to get into StarCraft because you're trying to de-stress, and
StarCraft
StarCraft
is
can
not.
be
Yeah.
not necessarily the greatest de-stressor.
Yeah. I agree. I agree wholeheartedly with that.
After
Yeah.
working
Usually.
like 11-hour days as we do.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, usually Sunday I've already considered as my free day where I'll like play an episode, I'll like do a campaign mission or something like that, and just kind of take it really
Right,
easy or play other games. Usually I do like a big try hard 3 hour session on Saturdays, but
right.
yeah, I think if I like spend Sunday of like editing a video down, then I could easily do that on the weekly or something like
But
that.
if you send me like you don't even have to edit anything down. Just do like a quick 1 minute recording
Yeah,
and then start to stop. You don't have to. You can do it 2 minutes and I'll edit it down.
that's true.
Just send it my way and I'll clip it up.
Yeah, that's
But
not a
yeah,
bad idea. We can work on that. Yeah, we'll keep chatting, but
I'll create some samples for you for next week, and
sweet.
you can tell me what you think.
Sweet. We'll keep on working on it, and then we'll talk about that again in the next monthly as well. We'll try to put one of them in. Uh,
Yeah, we could do like a commentary on it as well.
yeah,
Watch it and commentary on it. Yeah,
that's a good idea.
director's commentary
I
on
like
one
it.
of your videos.
I think it's a good idea. But as far as ladder and stuff goes, is how is like the meta and
I
stuff right
noticed.
now?
Well, I don't really know the meta because I've only played for a day, but I noticed that there's a lot less cheese. Or if
Yeah,
there is cheese, it's very easy to block. Like
yeah,
I don't know why, but I'm catching it more. I caught a few different guys that were a Protoss that was he still won unfortunately, but he was being very cheesy, and I blocked every cheese, but he still won. So if there is cheese, it's fewer and far between. It feels right now.
yeah. I agree with that. For Protoss cheese that you're getting, again, I've only played like maybe 26 games as Protoss this season.
Yeah.
But I have not been cannon rushed, not even one time of those 26 games. So I feel like 26 games is a decent sample size of Protoss games.
Yeah.
So, I mean, usually PvP before every, like, I would say 8 out of 10 of my Protoss games was cannon rush, where I would
Mhm.
lose. But right now it's all this one base meta. And I've just been doing a 3 gate stalker push with
Right.
Warp Prism. I'll get like a Robo on 3 gates, and I'll just push with a bunch of stalkers at like the 5 something minute mark. I'm not sure the actual timing. I think it's probably a little bit earlier than that even. But that's what I've been doing, and I've had a decent success rate. I'll sometimes transition out of it into like a second Nexus while I'm pushing if I feel like I could be greedy, but what's the cheese that you've been getting the most of recently?
So what I'll notice is they'll play somebody and they can't win in just a regular head-to-head game.
Hmm.
So the next game they play, well, they'll just like build a bunker in my natural, and then I'm just like, oh, there's a bunker, so I'll send all my probes at it because I don't have anything yet.
Yeah,
Cancel my natural,
yeah,
and then they just come in with so many Marines, and I'm like, what the
yeah,
fuck?
yeah.
I'll even build even when I have like, okay, I'll just cancel my natural, get the money back on that. I didn't even build it that one time. And I put down some shield batteries, and everything was gonna go be great. And he just comes in with so much stuff. I'm like, how do you have all this stuff? It's crazy.
Terran, they're OP right
Yeah,
now. No, I'm
yeah, it's interesting.
for me, Terran is still my best matchup, but I've been losing a lot recently with this new the battlecruiser style came last season, and I was doing really well against it. I don't really like this battlecruiser opener that a lot of Terrans do, where at like 4 minutes 45 seconds, a battlecruiser will warp into your main base or like your third base, and then you have to basically defend with queens while it does do damage. Like you can't prevent damage, even if you get a bunch of spores and things, because the battlecruiser can shoot while it moves. They can maneuver it to the one spot that you're like your shit doesn't cover, and your slow ass queens, even if you're connecting all of your bases with creep, they'll still get in and still get damage done. So you just have to like super drone. But usually they'll either do they last season they did one of two things. They either went mass battle cruiser, and I was able to beat that, or they would transition 100% out of battle cruisers into like bio or mech or something like that. And then it was easy for me to take care of that. But this season I've been getting this like battle mech style where they'll go Hellion Cyclone battle cruiser. Well, they'll keep making like a small amount of battle cruisers. So they'll always have like 4 to 5, maybe 6, at most like 7 battle cruisers, which is still a big number. But then it's like pure Hellion and Cyclone. So what I used to do is I would go into like Corruptor if I saw they were going to do um, mass BCs, and I just have like 20 corruptors, and then I just wreck their shit. And then when they tried to counter with like a bunch of Hellions, Banes would just wreck that. But now Cyclones are really tanky against Banelings, so you have to have
Mm.
like Lings or Hydras or Roaches to help with the Cyclones. If you just go pure Ling, then the Hellions will like destroy your Ling army. So it's this really like weird balance where I'm trying to figure out what exactly I want to do against it, because there is I still win. I would say 50% of those games, and if they don't do the battlecruiser win opener, I'll win about 80% of the games. I think against Terran right now. Honestly, I'm doing really well, but just this battlecruiser meta right now is still throwing me off a little bit. It's just
Yeah, I haven't seen many battle cruisers. I don't think it's a thing that people do against Protoss.
mm,
Or at least if people are scouting me,
hmm.
they just go, "Oh, it doesn't make sense to go battle cruisers or something."
Oh, because you have
Maybe in
stalkers,
other ones,
really. Your
right?
first
So I
couple
think a lot of
units.
people are seeing stalkers, right? So they don't go battle cruiser.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's very easy for a Protoss to counter battle cruisers if they get blink and just avoid the battle cruisers. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, yeah, you can do some interesting stuff with blink, and I don't know. I just haven't seen a lot. I have seen like a ton of battle cruises, but they don't go early. Like
Late game stuff.
it's later. Like I've seen some of your replays where all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, battle cruiser at 3 minutes, and you're like, how?
Yeah,
How is that battle
yeah,
cruiser like in your base at 3 minutes? Like you don't even have any units yet.
yeah,
Usually that's like a couple Marines or something
yeah.
instead.
Exactly. Yeah,
So, which makes you wonder like how you can't just walk across and kill them if all they're doing is building a battle cruiser.
yeah. It's
But
exactly.
I know how difficult that is. Um, yeah, it's they get super turtly too. But I haven't honestly seen a ton of battle cruisers until later game in
Hmm.
uh, PvT. So
Yeah, I don't think battle cruisers are super great against Protoss, honestly, because you have Tempest, you have Carrier, you have like just good anti-air, like what is it? You have good anti-air
from the
units.
start,
Yeah, like from your first units can shoot up. I mean, the only units
yeah,
I have in the very beginning are static defense and queens, and
yeah,
battle cruisers can kill queens. Um, You just have to have a lot of them. Luckily, the build that I do, I get up to like 7 queens by the time the first battlecruiser shows up, which has just been my standard build before even the battlecruiser thing was a thing. So like, I don't know, it doesn't really bother me too much. Um, but I just have to like make sure I'm scouting and doing all that. But one thing I am happy about is the Zerg versus Protoss meta has shifted away from like the constant two base Sentry Immortal pushes. I know that's basically what you still do now, but like
I was winning with that on the ladder today.
yeah, it's because it's kind of falling out of the meta and people are stopping, kind of preparing for it as much. I think the new meta right now that you'll probably hit is people are going to do Ravager Baneling into Quick Broodlords, but as long as you kill them before they get into the Quick Broods, then
Yeah.
you win. And your build kind of is based around killing them before they get into Quick Broods. So I think you're going to do really well against Zerg with this new meta right now. So it's always
I had one game today where this guy he sent like a ton of lings out, and I kept blocking them, and I was killing them off at my wall, and I'm like, good, he's just wasting his lings at my wall. And I go across the map, and he's just has so many roaches, and I'm like, what the hell? How did you afford all these roaches when you built all these lings?
yeah.
And
It's
then he nidused my natural, which wasn't a big deal because I pulled on my probes and it was okay, and I kind of hit back at him, but he just had a lot of lurkers. I'm like, how are my lurkers? Like, I just attacked him with more stuff, and his lurkers just did so much damage, even with my
detection.
detection. So,
Yeah.
what can you do?
Yeah, lurkers are weird. Like because they do such a long attack. You know, like the actual like the I don't know what the spike, whatever the cleave I guess that those lurkers do. When if you're close to it, like it just shreds, completely shreds units. So yeah, I've been going lurker against Protoss a lot. If I can't hit broods quickly, I do like a roach push in the beginning into like just basically mass hydras because hydras are kind of like the Swiss Army knife of units against Protoss. Like if I just make an assload of hydras, if they're going immortals, if they're going archons, basically anything except Colossus, I'm okay. But right now the meta is shifting into more like at least up in or down here in Diamond Two, um, a lot of like Colossus timings have become a thing, and I'll like do my roach opener, and then I'll get a bunch of hydras, and then they'll show up with Colossus. So I'll switch back into roaches, or I'll get like some vipers to like try to pick off the um the Colossus and bring them forward so I can pick them off. But it's just like it's difficult if I get caught into one bad engagement, if I'm on like high Hydra count against Colossus, I just lose immediately. So it is a little bit hard, but I'm getting used to it.
Yeah, the ladder is definitely always going to be difficult, but I find right now in particular, what was I going to say? Um, I've had a lot of games where I look at my stats, and at the end, I'm like, wait, why did I lose? Like, I had more miners. I had more money throughout the entire game. I had more upgrades. I had more units, and everything was in my favor. Like, I scored better across the board in every way. And when you look at the lines of like army value, mine just plummets, and then that's game. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like my units were stronger, and it's just I don't know if it's just the makeup of the units or the combination of upgrades I have versus his,
You know what?
or it's just bad unit placement.
I think that I was just gonna say the thing that separated me getting into Diamond Two versus Diamond Three was less about my macro. Like my macro is still not perfect, but it's not super terrible. I've gotten better, obviously, and I think that's what keeps me in Diamond Two. But engagements, like choosing how to take a fight and like how I want my army to engage into this fight, is a huge part about how I shifted up into Diamond Two from Diamond Three. So I think we should work on engagements. I think that would be a better idea.
It's tough. The engagements are always like super tough to figure out. You can't just practice them.
No, exactly. It's not like you have to be at the first 5 minutes of the game, right? So like you have to be at a
Mhm.
part of the game where like the I don't know, like you already have like done a little bit of pressure, you've like scouted their opener, and you know that they're doing this, and then it's like, okay, here it is, and then you can actually take a fight, and then the fight is different per game if they didn't macro perfectly. Like in the level that we are, like I'm not gonna have exactly the same amount of Zerglings every time.
Yeah.
Well, if I do my Terran build, then I will. By 5 minutes, I have exactly 18 Zerglings and 7 Queens and 10 Overlords because I have that build like really really well refined because I have to because the the meta right
Yeah.
now is really brutal if you don't have good mechanics against Terran. But anyway, that's kind of that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's all I really have on the ladder.
Yeah,
Well,
me too. It's
because
it's
I
hard.
haven't played in so long. So
Yeah, next season, next month when we do the monthly, maybe we can.
next monthly, I'll have a better opinion on.
Yeah, but
I want to set like some more games down. And let you know.
yeah, one thing I am interested in is the nerf, the not the nerf, but the buff to Terran. They didn't really nerf Protoss too much besides the Warp Prism, but they buffed Terran's stim timing. So I'm interested to hear if you have more issues with that. It sounds like there's some cheese coming out, but cheese and stim timings are not the same thing. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to kind of hear if
I
that
had one
changes.
game where a guy had stim quite early, but then he never transitioned out of it. So I think I won that
Exactly.
one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not particular. I'd have to play more games to tell you whether or not that's the actual pro, or if there's more people going stim early like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's not good if they have stim earlier than they did before, because it's not the race I play.
Yeah.
But if it was, I'd be happy.
Exactly. Exactly. You have to get
Anything
blink
pro
10
for
seconds faster or
Terran, I
something
guess,
like
is
that.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, look at your global standings. You don't see too many Terrans up at the top. It's all Protoss and Zergs
Yep.
that are up there,
Yep.
and Terrans that are third. They're not like so far behind that the game's imbalanced, but they're third.
Yeah, they're definitely the weakest race right now. I agree with that. Zerg end game is like super super strong, and Protoss like mid game is incredible, and
Mhm.
like the Terran has to play perfect every time. Like it's it is a very difficult kind of it's just hard for Terrans, I think. Terran, when I played it, I honestly think it's like the most unforgiving of all of the races. Like you can't just like macro and do well
Right.
as Terran. Like, because if you macro,
But
unless you're playing mech,
there's only 4 out of 20 on the Korea standings.
yeah,
So I mean that just shows that there's less playing. So maybe it's also just they're still balanced, but there's less playing Terran. But if I don't know, they don't switch very often, so Terran could be better now. But because people don't go ahead and say, "Oh, I'm innovation, and I'm just going to switch from Terran to Zerg," they don't do that.
yeah,
So
it's true. It's very true. It's you spend that much time preparing a race and then just switching out of it
yeah,
is very
you
different.
always talked about how it's good to play each race and understand them to be able to beat them, and I think that's very true. But you also see once these guys have picked their races in once they're in like an actual tournament, they never switch
Yeah, it's
ever.
correct. You're true. They'll like off race sometimes on the ladder, but that's kind of all
Right,
it is.
but not never any games you'll see.
Oh
Like
yeah, exactly.
maybe on a long lost stream somewhere
Exactly.
that you'll
Yeah.
never actually watch. But yeah,
Stats playing Zerg or something like that. Yeah. Anyway,
right.
from all the races perspective, kind of getting into the next kind of one of the things I want to talk about today, the new skins. I'm putting up if anyone is watching. Uh, One second. If anyone is watching the video, I have the war chest number 5 up right now, and it is the new skin pack for the war chest, which is helping raise the what is it? The prize pool for BlizzCon this year. I've bought it. I know one of my buddies, Jordan, bought it, and oh, 1 second. Sorry. One
So
of
I know
my
you pick up the war chest every time.
yeah,
Every
immediately,
yeah,
immediately.
and this is number 5.
Yes. and I kind of want to talk about what your favorite skins were. So I've got the Terran skins up on the screen right now. If you can't see it, if you're listening at home, then they're kind of just like this new shiny. They're still mechanical units. The bio is kind of just like more rounded than they usually are, and they've got kind of like a glossy finish. From me, the this whole pack, when I just saw the still images about this skin set, it wasn't too much like anything out of the ordinary, but the medevac has these cool like tracer lines that come off of it when it flies around, and I think it is
Mhm.
super cool. It is easily my favorite.
Yeah, this
Um,
is my favorite skin set as well.
yeah,
Uh, Something about it, just even though it's so simple, because it's so shiny, it looks nice to play against. I've played a few people, and it's like, ooh, that's nice.
yeah. I don't use the skins ever. I just use it to complement the prize pool and try to show my support for the game. But I don't usually use them on my streams or anything like that. Sometimes maybe I'll turn them on, but yeah, the Terrans is pretty cool. I like it. Um, After that, the Protoss, the uh, Ihanri. Again, this is kind of just standard Protoss. I don't know. It's not. I don't think there's anything kind of. I don't have
I
any
always
unit.
look towards the warp prisms because the warp prisms, whatever they do every time, their wings are like so different. Uh, Maybe I'm wrong here, but yeah,
No, I think you're right. The only other thing that I always look at is for the Archon. The Archon usually has a really cool skin every time.
yeah.
But I think the Purifier ones from the last BlizzCon's, um, what is it? War Chest. There it is. The last BlizzCon War Chest. That was easily my favorite. That one is like the coolest one. No, I'm sorry. It was two ago. The last time was the Golden something, like the Golden Army or whatever. It wasn't the Golden Armada.
Mhm.
It was like the Golden something, and they had a really cool um, skin set where it was all highlighted in gold. But the Purifier was the one that had the Zealot with the two blades that came out of its wrist, and then the Archon had like the halo behind it. It was really cool. Like that was easily my favorite skin set uh, from Protoss. And the Zerg is the Cerberus set or the Cyberus set, however you want to say it. And it's they've been really gushing this like Mechana Zerg thing. Like the mechanical Zerg started in the last war chest with the what was it? What was it called? Um, it starts with an S. Hold on, let me open up.
It's tough to change Zerg because
Yeah,
they're
they're
organic
alien. Yeah,
alien, right? So because they're so organic, if you change their like physical
simulant,
models,
simulant. That's what it was.
okay, it was the previous set.
Yeah, the
So
simulant was the simulant.
if you change their models, they end up looking unlike the actual creature they're supposed to look like, right?
Yeah, correct.
So with the other ones, you can actually change their models, and because they're mechanical, they still look like the unit that it's supposed to be, even though
Yeah,
their model has changed.
yeah. The other thing different about this is the simulants set was 100% the Zergs were like robots, like they were completely metal. Where this new Cerberus set is they're the Zerg, but they have like armor and shit on them, or like boosters and
Mad
stuff on.
Max.
Yeah, very Mad Maxian style, but it's cool. It's cool, but I think honestly, after everything's said and done, the Terran has the absolute coolest skill set. Not skill set. The Terran has the coolest skin pack. It's really neat.
Mhm.
I suggest if you're listening and haven't picked it up, please pick up the War Chest. I'm not sponsored by Blizzard, but I do support Blizzard
If
for
you want to
their
see
games.
StarCraft 3,
Yeah, yeah. Maybe
because
I'm gonna.
apparently there's no rumors of StarCraft 3 ever coming out,
No.
and they're just going to do these from now on,
I mean,
which
it's
is
fine with me. I mean, StarCraft 3, like, why? You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
there's.
If they made a StarCraft 3, have to be so radically different that it
Yeah,
would be a completely different game.
yeah, exactly. I mean, Brood War and StarCraft 2 are completely different games. Like, there are
Right.
similarities in the fact that they're both Terran, Zerg, and Protoss, and that they're real time strategy games, and some of the units act similar. But as far as, like, the game itself is, they're totally different monsters, completely. Like, I would probably be like bottom of bronze in Brood War. Even if I'd focused on macro and like doing all that, because it's also about like control and your mechanics in Brood War, and you can only select 12 units at a time, and it's it's like a totally different like beast all on its own. It's harder than SC2, but
Yeah, last night I was watching somebody playing it, and it was I my eyes go crossed every time.
yeah, it is.
I'm like,
That's a good way to put it.
how?
Yeah.
Like, why are they doing what they're doing, and how are they get like it's almost a different game.
Yeah, totally. And I think like the units counter differently. Like the when I watched Protoss, there's not like they have like obviously tier 3 units, but it seems like they're on like the same unit count, like the same units for like the entire game, and then out of nowhere, like Protoss is like on Zealot Dragoon for the whole game, and then there's like a carrier. Or like they'll be on Zealot Dragoon and there'll be like one drop ship with like two Reavers in it, like these like big worm
Yeah,
things that like shoot stuff. And like Terran,
so weird.
yeah, they like Terran opens mech usually, and then like I've never really seen them like it's usually like the Vulture tank, and then they'll go into like uh, Goliaths later in the game. And Zerg, I don't know. I have like barely watched any Zerg on Brood War,
Right.
but
Speaking of Brood War and skins, have you actually played any of the reskinned
oh yeah, yeah, I
um,
did.
campaigns?
I did. Not I didn't put any videos up or anything like that, but I did play like 2 episodes of the Terran one, and it's like a new game. Like, and honestly, it acts and it feels like a completely new experience for StarCraft One. It's kind of like a cutesy thing. Like, I think if I was to have a child and then I wanted them to try to get, if I had a
You
child
would
first
give them
off,
that?
yeah, if I had a child first off, we would be playing StarCraft Two. But if I was a Brood War guy, and
Yeah.
I wanted my kid to get into Brood War, I would 100% just show them that, and then I think that would be a much better way to hook them into Brood War. Um,
I just have a feeling he signed up to do it and didn't realize how much work it was. Like, can you imagine how
oh my
long it would
god,
take to
it's
do?
making a new
He's
game. It's
the
it's
whole game.
remaking the game. Yeah,
He did
so,
it like single-handedly, as far as I'm aware.
yeah. He has like a team of artists that like helped do the animations and stuff like that, like the actual
Right.
like movements, and like obviously you have to get um, all of the cutscenes and stuff like that. He did like everything. He did like the whole
There's
game.
cutscenes?
Yeah,
Really? Oh,
everything. Like in between the matches as well. Like before you start the new campaign, there's like this like war room where they have like all these monitors up and everyone's talking. That is even done in the cartoon style. Like it's
okay,
so
so
cool. It's so cool.
yeah.
All the menus, everything. Like you turn on.
All for free, right? There's no extra payment for
Oh no
that.
no no! You have to pay. I think it was like $10 or something like that. But it's honestly
It's
worth it. And again,
nothing.
you give it to it's supporting the StarCraft community. So I was like
Yeah,
100% like yeah,
that's awesome.
it's good for me. But the only other thing I really wanted to kind of go over today was about the current um, top 8 players of each region, and I wanted to kind of talk about BlizzCon and stuff like that. But on the screen right now, if you are watching, I will also read them down so you don't need to look. But I've got the top 8 players from Korea and the top 8 players from North America, and I kind of wanted to just go down the list really quick and kind of say a couple things about these guys, and then I want to do some predictions for BlizzCon because BlizzCon is based on points. So the top Korean player right now is Dark, who's at 9,375 points. And the number 8 Korean right now is Stats, and he's at 4,150 points. So there's this kind of like 4,000, there's like a 5,000 point spread between the number 1 Korean and the number 8 Korean. If we go to the circuit, it's more intense. Cyril's number 1 right now with 10,200 points. And then number two is Rainer at 7,000. So there's like a 300 point gap just between 1 and 2. And the bottom, the number 8 player is Showtime, who's only at like just about 3,000 points. So there's like literally a 6,000 point gap between the number 1 player and the number 8 player in the circuit. But kind of right now, Cyril's sitting on the throne about a couple thousand points above, not 1,000, like a couple hundred points above Dark. But I'm just gonna go down this list and kind of talk about these
Yeah,
players really quick.
The gap's definitely way worse on the circuit in Korea.
Yeah, it's night and day. But right now, Dark's number one on top on Korea. Dark was the first StarCraft player that I watched that made me want to try to play StarCraft. I watched him in the 2016 final against Bjorn, who is currently away in the army. He's a Terran player, and he's like famous for his Reaper play and like his micro skill. He's like the one that like single handedly got Terran nerfed the first time in Legacy of the Void because of his Reaper stuff. But I was watching Dark, and I was like, I can't do the things he did when I first started playing back in 2016. Now 3 years ago, 3 years ago. But yeah, he's like absolutely my favorite Zerg. He's arrogant. I love him because of that. But he's like the guy that kind of got me into StarCraft. Do you have anything?
He was also the leader in the recent
Oh,
GSL Best of the
correct.
World in his group. That separate little mini thing that they did where they got to pick who played who,
Yeah,
and they just ran. I don't know if it was random or they basically just picked like, okay, you're the leader, and then here's all your like random Koreans and world people all in like different two separate groups, and he was the leader of one of the groups, and it was very like him against everyone. It felt like.
yeah. He is. He will go on record saying that he is the best Zerg in the world while standing next to Serral and Rogue. Like he is just this arrogant guy that he
Look at
is
his win
confident.
loss rate. He's doing really good.
Yeah, his win loss rate is very good. He is basically well above wins in all of the matchups, Protoss, Terran, and Zerg. And I think it's not on his bio, but I think he has like almost never lost to a foreigner. Like the only foreigners that have ever like beaten him have been Serral, and that's like he's literally maybe the best player that we've ever had in StarCraft. So it's different to say that, but like his win rate against foreigners, like he doesn't even respect foreigners at all. Like he's that guy that's like, you're not Korean, so you're not a StarCraft player, and it kind of makes me like him that much more. I know it's weird that um, he's like that, but I don't know. I think he's such a character. I really like Dark. And then over onto the circuit, we'll talk about the number one a little bit in depth, and then we'll kind of go through the other players a little bit. But Serral is obviously the number one player on the circuit right now. And points wise, he's the number one player in the world. He's got a whole like just slew of first place trophies starting from 2018. He's just been like this weird unstoppable freak that has come out of Finland and like literally changed the entire face of StarCraft. So like I think he's a great player. I think I'm getting over the Serral hype though, and I want to see him start losing. Like I'm ready for him to be dethroned, and then kind of like the next era to open up of StarCraft. But what's your image of Serral right now?
Um, I like him. He's good. He just doesn't have any bio under his name. If you, what's interesting about this site, I don't know if Blizzard has done anything in particular, but some people have like really long bios. Other people are like, he plays StarCraft. He plays Zerg. He
Yeah,
like, and he's from Korea. Like, and then oh, he's playing for East. Look at something like Dark has this massive thing
yeah,
like
that's
the
true.
very specific like in 2014, in 2016, and more recently this and that. And then click on somebody like Trash, it's like he is Korean and he plays for Jin Air Green Wings. Like,
Yeah.
okay,
Thanks.
yeah,
Good to know. Good to know. Yeah, that is very funny. If you look at Dark's bio is like extremely long, and yeah, it's one line for Serral, and it's just like, I'm from Finland, and I play StarCraft, and this is my current team. I'm with SNC Sports right now. It's like done, like finished.
and then
30
Rogue
win
has
streak.
massive bio.
Yeah.
Like just like every little detail he ever did, like winning at the 11th hour of this game. What?
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, Dark's is pretty long, but again, I think that kind of I don't know if he writes it himself, but he
I Rogue there.
Yeah, Rogues is pretty short
I
too.
don't think they write them themselves. I'd be very surprised because one, they don't. I mean, maybe they wrote it in Korean, but I don't think those
Um,
guys know enough English to really. They don't speak English because
no, you're
otherwise they
right.
would do their own. They would do their own Q&A at the end of those games where we watch
No,
with
you're
the
right.
translator.
Yeah, totally, totally. I
So
think that might have
that's
something to do with
Blizzard.
it.
That's Blizzard. But somebody basically is a fanboy of Blizzard who likes Rogue and Dark. Just couldn't care less about the players
Yeah.
for the other guy. Like,
I agree. I
it
agree with that.
goes to show who's their favorites in terms of that.
It makes
Anyway,
sense.
you were asking about Cyril. Well,
Uh,
Cyril has an incredible point score. He's the highest point scorer so far, right?
yeah, absolutely. He was last year
So,
too.
and I don't know how he gets a win streak of 30.
Hmm.
I'm guessing he gets that by not playing in Korea very often
You see,
because I
yeah,
think it depends on what games you do because this is not it's specifying points, but is I don't understand quite how the points get divvied out because a lot of these Korean players don't go to these other countries to play in WCS and other
hmm,
tournaments. Then they still get this amazing amount of points. Now, a lot of the circuit guys don't go to Korea either and build up points in GSL because they're not allowed into GSL. So I don't understand how the points are divvied up. I get it that there's two separate standings, like Korea and circuit, and they both go in. It does seem a little unfair that Korea gets all 8 like standing points to be in, and
yeah,
then like so it's half Korea and half America,
yeah.
or half the
Foreign,
world
yeah,
basically.
yeah, yeah.
One.
No, it's
I
what it
mean,
is I actually did some research on this recently, and it's because there's a region lock. So if you want to compete in Korea, you have to go to Korea and you have to live there for a certain amount of time. If you want to compete in a different circuit, you have to go to a different country and you have to live there for a certain amount of time. And the reason they did that was because when StarCraft first came out, what would happen is they would have these big events all over the world, and a Korean, just like a Korean, would fly to that event, win it, get all of like the massive save, like the first place point prize pool of cash, and then fly
I see.
home. So they were like, that's not allowed anymore. Like they cut it off, and they were like, okay, if you want to play in like a WCS circuit, you have to live in a place that is in the WCS circuit for a certain amount of time. So what happened then? That's how like sometimes you'll hear people like Scarlet or Neeb or Special will go over to Korea. I think Special's in Korea right now, and he's training over there, so he's able to participate in these GSLs and stuff like that. But you have to actually live
I
there
see.
for a certain amount of time to avoid that idea. Because I mean, look, Showtime is number 8 with 3,000 points, like less
Right.
than 3,000 points. Honestly, the number 4 player, Special, 3,825 points. The number 8 player is Stats in Korea, and he has 4,000 points. Like, the top 3 players in the circuit would be the only players that are in the Korean um, pool, and they would all be basically 0.86. They would be point like point 0.8, 0.7, and then point 0.1 because of Serral.
Right.
So it's like the top tier of the circuit can kind of hang with the bottom tier of Korea, except for Serral. He's the outlier, and that's how it's typically been for a long time. So I don't
Okay.
know. It kind of makes sense that way, but like about your point system, yeah, you're right. Serral, I think, has so many points because inside the WCS circuit, he's basically like the top Korean that's going to these events and just like, I'm gonna win this event, and then I'm gonna go home. And it's basically a game of second place, so that's why he has so many more points. Where in Korea, like these 8 players, I'll read the players. We have Dark, Trap, Classic, Maru, Rogue, Sue, Hero, Stats. Those are the top 8 players right now in 2019 Season 3 for GSL. Those top 8 players, I guarantee all 8 of them were in the top at least 16 last year, right? So they're like the consistent players in this group, so they're always playing against each other. And if they're always playing against each other, they're all improving together. Where honestly, like, okay, the first 4 in the Korean in the circuit: Serral, Raynor, Neeb, Special. Yeah, those 4 players are remarkably good players. Remarkably good players. The
They're
next
playing
guy,
more games too
exactly, they're
than the
in more
Korean.
tournaments than all of them. All of them except for I think Rainer and Serral have gone to Korea. So Neeb and Special lives in Korea right now, and Neeb spent like all year last year in Korea, and he made it to top four of BlizzCon. And honestly, here's I'm gonna talk about Neeb for a second. All right, Serral gets all of the fame and glory because he's the first foreigner to win a BlizzCon. All right,
Right.
Neeb is basically one of the first foreigners to ever make it into the round of four in a BlizzCon.
Right.
There was some people before him. I think it was Stefano. There was some other really good foreigner players, but Neeb was like the best foreigner of all time in 2017. Like if you talked about the best foreigner, it was Neeb, 100%. And then
Yeah.
Serral came, and like no one talks about Neeb anymore. Even though Neeb can still take games, Neeb can still win against good Korean players. The top Korean players like Dark consistently crush Neeb, and I think he has like a mental block against people like Dark because like he, I don't know, it's just something about him. But Neeb made it into the round of four in 20. I think it was like 2016 or 2017. I'm sorry, I can't remember. But like he was in like the finals of BlizzCon. Special made it to the round of eight. So like last year or 2 years back before Cyril was like the dude, it was um it was like Neeb and Special, these guys that were like massively like respected, and now it's just it's Cyril, he's the best. And now Rainer's getting a lot of praise because Rainer is a really good Zerg. But I mean, people are forgetting about the Neeb and the Special. I think that's just my North American side coming out and getting angry that people aren't talking about the good North Americans. They're only talking about the good Europeans. So I have to put my foot down where I have to. But
There's a few people I don't recognize in the circuit. Like we probably won't see them play because they haven't made the cutoff. But like Probe and Astria
oh yeah, yeah. Astrea is he's an upcoming Hearthstone. I know there should be a
doesn't
guy
even have a
Future
profile
as
picture.
well. Yeah, there should be another American named Future. Yeah, number 38. Future is a guy that I'm actually kind of following right now. In a couple years, I don't know where he's going to be, but Future is an upcoming Terran in North America that I really like, and I hope he ends up doing really well. But
Right.
yeah, some of these other guys, yeah, I don't really know. The circuit, I don't know. Like only really the
They can
first four
play on both
players.
servers. I didn't realize there was a load more, but they can play on both Korea and because um, if you load more for the Korea circuit, you'll see Special and
Yep,
Scarlet
yep,
further down.
yep. They're both on there.
How,
They're both out
how
there
can they play on both then if you said it was regional?
because they lived in that area for a long enough time.
I see.
So you have to go over there, and like what that'll do is it'll kick you out of some circuits, like some tournaments and stuff like that. So
I
that's
see.
why like Special and Scarlet spent the first part of this year basically over in Korea playing in GSL because it's a more difficult bracket.
Right.
They're just more difficult players. It's like if everyone was Serral and you were playing those guys, that is the kind of people that they're playing always. They're at these team houses and they're playing against other top Koreans. So they spend the beginning of the season out in GSL. If they're doing well in GSL, they're going to stay in Korea because they have the winnings from the prize pool and they can continue forward and they're just getting more training. But what they'll usually do is they'll come out for the first season, get a whole bunch of training, and then what they'll do is they'll come back to Europe and they'll play in the rest of the European um,
Right.
what is it? The European matches. There it is. The European matches and stuff like that. So I think honestly, Special is probably like there's a point gap between Neeb and Special of about 2,000 points. Neeb's at 5,500 points. Special's at 3,800 points. And I think that is because Neeb never went to Korea this year, and he's been at all of the events. So he's been getting more points, where Special was probably kicked out or not applicable for one of the events because of his like sudden move back from Korea. He couldn't participate in one of the events. So there is a little bit of, you know, skew there, but I don't know. It's just one of those things. He's going to be in BlizzCon this year. So is Neeb. So getting into that, so BlizzCon is the top 8 players of each of the circuit and Korea every year. So again, going really quickly through, we've got Dark Trap, Classic, Maru, Rogue, Sue, Hero, Stats, and we've got Sero, Raynor, Neeb, Special Time, Hero Marine, Elaser, Showtime in the top 8. Now, I want to hear, who do you think is going to be top 8, top 4, and number 1 for this year in BlizzCon?
One second. We'll look at that list again. What am I looking at? Okay. Standing. So I'm looking at Lee Knock for some reason. I don't know why. Why is he 30th? I don't know.
I love Leenock. He's like one of my favorite players ever. I just love him.
Okay, so I think
your top 8. Who's going to be number 8? So remember, you don't worry about like basically pick 4 Koreans and 4 foreigners that you think are going to be in there.
So I think that Maru is going to win all of BlizzCon because he's my favorite. And even though he's been doing way worse this year than he was last year, he was crushing it last year.
Yeah,
this year he's slipped so much. But I think he's gonna. I think he's saving it. He's saving it for BlizzCon. He knows he's gonna get into BlizzCon no matter what.
And Terran got buffed recently, and Maru can play bio and mech extremely well on both sides. Yes. So he is looking he's looking good.
So I think first place will be Maru, then Serral, then Rogue, then Raynor, and then maybe like Classic or Trap.
Okay, who's
probably Dark actually before those guys, but yeah.
Yeah, who's your wild card? Who's like the dude that you're like, maybe this guy'll show up?
I'll say maybe Elaser.
I was gonna say the same thing. So to put it out, your top 8 is very similar to mine. I think I'm going to do a little bit more Protoss heavy. I think we're going to see Stats, and we're going to see, I would probably say Trap and Classic. I'm going to say those 3 Protoss from Korea are going to go through. Just because, and this is like, they're not my favorite players. I would love to see, what my favorite final would be Dark, Maru, Rogue, and Stats. There are my my favorite 4 Korean players. By far my favorite. I love Stats. He's like my favorite pro gamer ever. But I would love to see them, but what I'm thinking about is we're going to get there's going to be Maru, Rogue. I think only one of them is going to make it through. I think one of them are going to get screwed over in the matches because people are going to prepare. Round of 8. No, hold on. I'm guessing a lot of Koreans
suffer as well because they have to try.
Yeah, that's true. So I think we're gonna get a bunch of Protoss in it because Protoss is still kind of on a really high end this year. Like they're still doing really well, and there's been a Protoss. I mean, if you remember GSL Season 1, there were 7 of the 8 players were Protoss players, and then even this Season 3, it was Trap versus Rogue. So it was a Protoss versus a Zerg. So as much as I love Maru, and he is the only Terran in the top 8 this year for Korea, I don't know if he's going to be making it through. Like you said, he's not playing very well, but I would love for Maru to take the BlizzCon that he should have won last year. I'll say it. He should have beaten Maru. He should have beaten Serral last year. Maru should have had that BlizzCon. 3 GSLs and a BlizzCon title would have been the new Bonjour for StarCraft 2. It's what I wanted. But as far as the circuit goes, I would like to see, what I would love would be obviously Special, Neeb, I guess Serral, Raynor. It's such a boring, like, there's only like 4 people that I really give a shit about. But I think I like Hero Marine a lot. I really like Hero Marine as a player. But Elaser went to the final of GSL versus the world this year. So when you said Laser was kind of your wild card, he's my wild card as well because he beat Dark, he beat all these other these other Korean players, but I honestly think everyone didn't expect a Laser. Like everyone just kind of wrote a Laser off, and I honestly think no one prepared for him at all, and he got super lucky, and he probably practiced his ass off, but no one was expecting him to get up to that high of a level. So if a Laser makes it anywhere, I could see him being like the person that takes out the Rainer, or that maybe even takes out like the Neeb or the Special to get into the round of 8. So I think we're very similar on round of 8. So top 4. So who are the two best, the two Koreans and the two foreigners that you feel are going to go into this year?
Dark Mar and Cyril Rayner.
Dark Mara, Cyril Rayner. I can agree with Cyril Rayner. I think I'm going to say Neeb over Rayner because I've seen Neeb beat Rayner before, and Neeb gets really, really intense when it comes to BlizzCon. Like, and the other thing is, think about the foreigner scene right now. Everyone is just practicing against Zerg because Cyril is the king, right? Cyril
Right.
sits on his throne, and the two
He
best
has-
players.
And Dark.
Yeah, and Dark right now. Yeah, exactly. So the two best players in the circuit, easily Rayner, Cyril. You need to prepare for them. In the Korean side, Dark is the top right now, but you also have Rogue and Sue. Like Dark, Rogue, Sue. That is the holy trinity of good Zerg in Korea. Like they are the. Let me look down the list and see if there's any other Zerg. Ragnarok's okay. Solar's okay. Impact is okay. Scarlet's good. Lenok, Amari, Armani,
I think-
True.
What helps too is knowing who you're going to play. But BlizzCon is very quick, right?
It comes up kind of quick, but I mean,
But you don't know who you're going to play in BlizzCon.
in the final 4 you would. You know, like you can kind of prepare for final 4. Top 8 is usually like they place like the number 1 versus the number 8 of that. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty much the whole round of 16 is like you just slap down. It's a lot of 3-1s and it's a lot of 3-0s in the round of
Yeah.
16. But then the round of 8 is a little bit more difficult, and then the round of 4 is even more difficult. I'm gonna say it's gonna be Cyril Neeb, and I'm gonna say I know that my first had a bunch of Protoss stats. I think one of the Protoss is going to get kicked out. So it's going to be stats, and whoever the third player is, I'm going to probably go with Rogue. I think Rogue's going to come out on top of Dark. In ZVZ, Rogue is better than Dark. And I think it could go down to like a Rogue versus Dark for the third spot in GSL, on the GSL side of
So
things.
figured out why there's some missing points on the Korea side because the Super Tournament's coming up
Yeah,
in 4 days,
yes, it's very soon.
which will actually be post this next week. It'll be over.
Yeah,
On the 6th, you're posting this, so
yeah.
next week.
Yeah, so
Um,
right as that's done.
so there's 1,500 points to go out to the first place.
That's
of
true.
that.
That's true. The
That
next
will-
time we talk,
if Dark takes that, then Dark could have over 10,000 points. Or just shy of. Yeah, no, almost 1,500 points.
that's true. Next time we do one of these, next time we do the monthly, we will go over the result of Super Tournament 2, and we'll have one of the hot minutes on it. But last thing for today, we are hitting the hour mark on this podcast. It was funny before we started, we were like, I don't know if we'll have enough to talk about for a whole hour. We're at an hour and 5 minutes, so it's
Perfect.
fantastic. It's perfect. But for this year, let's say just number 1 Cyril versus number 1 Dark. That's already happened this year, and Cyril 4-0 Dark.
Ooh.
That's already happened this year in GSL versus the World. It was Cyril versus Dark. It was 4-0. So it could very well be 2 in a row Cyril this year for BlizzCon, which would be insane. But again, as I said earlier in the podcast, or in the monthly, I am ready for Cyril to get knocked out. I'm ready for everyone to team up on him and get knocked out of this, and then we figure out how he plays, and then the entire group, the entire collective embodiment of SC2 improves because they've learned how to beat Serral. And then Serral's just like a really, really, really good player that will take tournaments and win, but he's not like the dominant king that he is right now. I want him to bring the entire group up and get on that next level. And then that would be some amazing StarCraft in the future when it's actually people are playing even better than they are now.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I just want good StarCraft because
true.
that's what draws in people to watch, right?
Yep, I agree. But who's going to take it? Who's going to take it this year? Who's going to be the number one? You already said Maru, and I would love that too.
Did I not say Maru?
I want it to be Maru. If that's your final offer, then I'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at Maru. But I think that
let's see how he does in this next super tournament,
Okay.
and I'll give you my answer.
Okay, so right now I'm regretfully saying I think Serral's going to maybe take it again, and you've got your chips down on Maru. You're speaking from the heart, and I'm speaking from the brain. But we'll see we'll see who is more correct this season. So
the next monthly will be the day after BlizzCon.
the day after BlizzCon?
November 3rd. Yeah, no,
Holy
BlizzCon is
shit!
November
Yeah, you're right.
1st.
So we'll have a lot to talk
so-
about. We'll have a lot to talk about in the next monthly. It'll be a good one. It'll be a very good one. But all right. So I want to say thank you, Cabby, for coming out for the premiere of the monthly.
Thanks for
We
your
talked about a
patience.
lot. Yeah, no,
I've been
it's
waiting forever.
been good.
So,
It's good.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
It was probably
Thank
good
you.
that we had to wait so long because now we actually had stuff to talk about, and
Sure.
now we can kind of continue the conversation instead of start it. But again, thank you
Awesome.
everyone for listening, and we will see you again first Sunday of next month, and hopefully you enjoyed it. See you in the next one. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks.